Welcome to the Psychology and Physical Training channel, Introduction to Prejudice and Discrimination. Have you ever pondered on why people are prejudiced and how it leads to discrimination? It's a question that resonates in the minds of many. Prejudice and discrimination, though often used interchangeably, are two distinct social issues that pervade our society. Understanding their nature and how they operate is vital to fostering a more inclusive and equitable world. In this video, we'll be exploring the nature and definition of prejudice and discrimination, shedding light on the often blurred lines between these two terms. We'll also be looking into the various causative factors of prejudice, the unseen forces that drive people to stereotype, generalize, and act unfairly towards others. Additionally, we'll be discussing methods of reducing prejudice, because it's not enough to just understand the problem. We must also strive towards the solution. Finally, we'll delve into the different forms of discrimination, highlighting the many ways in which prejudice manifests itself in our society. Join us as we delve deeper into these significant social issues. Nature and definition of prejudice and discrimination. To fully grasp the matter at hand, it is crucial to understand what prejudice and discrimination are. So let's start with prejudice. Prejudice is essentially a preconceived opinion that one forms about another individual or group. It's not based on reason or actual experience, but rather on pre-existing beliefs or assumptions. Imagine walking into a room and making assumptions about people before even speaking to them. That's prejudice. It's a kind of mental shortcut we sometimes take, based on stereotypes we've absorbed from our culture, media, or personal experiences. Prejudice can be positive, like thinking someone is smart because they wear glasses, or negative, like believing someone is untrustworthy because of their nationality. Now let's move on to discrimination. Discrimination takes the biases and assumptions of prejudice and turns them into actions. It is the unjust or prejudicial treatment of different categories of people, especially on the grounds of race, age, or sex. Discrimination is when these preconceived notions start affecting how we treat people. It's when we start acting on our prejudices, leading to unfair treatment of individuals based on their perceived group membership. An example could be not hiring someone because of their gender or race, or treating a coworker differently because of their age. It's important to remember that both prejudice and discrimination are not innate. They are learned behaviors and attitudes, deeply ingrained in our societies and cultures through generations of conditioning and reinforcement. Also, it's worth noting that while all discrimination involves prejudice, not all prejudice results in discrimination. You might have preconceived notions about a group of people, but not act on those assumptions. However, the fact remains that prejudice can often lay the groundwork for discrimination. Now that we have a clear understanding of these terms, we can explore the underlying causes of prejudice. Causative factors of prejudice. So, what stokes the fires of prejudice in our minds? Let's delve into the main causative factors of prejudice, which include, but are not limited to, stereotypes, social identity theory, and in-group and out-group dynamics. Firstly, stereotypes are generalized beliefs about a particular group of people based on their race, nationality, gender, or other defining characteristics. Stereotypes can often be misleading, painting everyone in a group with the same broad brush. This can lead to prejudice as we begin to make assumptions about individuals based on the stereotypes we hold about their group. Next, let's talk about social identity theory. This theory suggests that we derive our self-esteem from the groups we identify with. We tend to favor those within our own group, or the in-group, while we may discriminate against those outside our group, or the out-group. This in-group favoritism and out-group bias can lead to prejudice, because we may devalue or mistrust those who are not part of our group. Finally, in-group and out-group dynamics play a key role in fostering prejudice. We, as humans, have a natural tendency to categorize and classify. This extends to the way we perceive people as well. We tend to divide people into groups, those who are like us, the in-group, and those who are not like us, the out-group. This division can lead to bias and prejudice, as we may perceive the out-group as a threat to our own group's status or resources. These factors combine to create a fertile ground for prejudice to take root and grow. Stereotypes lead us to make assumptions. Social identity theory leads us to favor our own group, and in-group and out-group dynamics lead us to devalue those outside our group. But it's crucial to remember that recognizing these factors is the first step towards mitigating their effects. With this understanding of the roots of prejudice, we can now look at methods to reduce it. Methods of reducing prejudice. How can we, as individuals and as a society, work to reduce prejudice? A question that's been at the forefront of social psychology for decades. Let's delve into some of the most effective methods identified by researchers. Firstly, education is a powerful tool. By educating ourselves and others about different cultures, races, and religions, we can challenge stereotypes and misconceptions. This not only broadens our understanding, but also fosters acceptance and respect for diversity. When we know more about the other, fear and prejudice often dissipate. The second method is known as the contact hypothesis, proposed by psychologist Gordon Allport in the mid-20th century. This theory suggests that prejudice can be reduced through increased contact with those who are different from us. However, Allport stipulates that this contact must meet certain conditions. It should be equal status contact, meaning both groups have equal power and influence. It should also occur in an environment of shared goals and cooperation, not competition. And finally, it should be supported by law or social norms. Promoting empathy and understanding also plays a significant role in reducing prejudice. When we put ourselves in someone else's shoes, we begin to understand their experiences, their struggles, and their perspectives. This empathetic understanding can break down barriers and reduce fear and hostility. And lastly, fostering a sense of common identity can also help. When we see ourselves as part of a larger group, such as humankind, rather than focusing on smaller divisive groups, we are less likely to harbor prejudice. This concept is known as the common in-group identity model. These methods are not exhaustive, and it's important to remember that reducing prejudice requires ongoing effort and commitment at both individual and societal levels. It's not an overnight process, but each step we take towards understanding and acceptance makes a difference. Reducing prejudice is the first step towards preventing discrimination. Let's now understand what discrimination looks like. Forms of discrimination. Discrimination takes many forms, some overt and others more subtle. To unravel its complexities, we'll delve into 4 forms of discrimination: direct discrimination, indirect discrimination, harassment, and victimization. Firstly, direct discrimination. This is when someone is treated less favorably than another person in a similar situation because of their race, sex, disability, religion or belief, sexual orientation, or age. Think of a job applicant being rejected solely because of their age, despite meeting all the required qualifications. That's direct discrimination. Next, we have indirect discrimination. This happens when there's a rule, policy, or practice which applies to everyone, but particularly disadvantages people who share a certain characteristic. For instance, if a job advert stipulates that applicants must be clean-shaven, this could indirectly discriminate against men who have beards for religious reasons. Moving on, let's talk about harassment. Harassment is unwanted conduct related to a relevant protected characteristic, which has the purpose or effect of violating an individual's dignity or creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment for that individual. A typical example might be derogatory comments or jokes about a person's race or gender. Lastly, we have victimization. Victimization refers to treating someone unfairly because they've complained about discrimination or harassment. Imagine an employee being sidelined or overlooked for a promotion because they previously lodged a complaint about workplace discrimination. That's victimization. In essence, these 4 forms of discrimination can manifest in numerous ways, in various spaces, from the workplace to educational institutions, and even within social circles. They can be blatant or subtle, but their impact is always profound, affecting people's lives and opportunities. Understanding these forms of discrimination is the first step to combating them. By recognizing them when they occur, we can challenge them and strive for a more equitable society where everyone is treated with the respect and dignity they deserve. And if you like this video, do not forget to subscribe and follow to the Psychology and Physical Training channel for more videos. Thanks for watching.